Hello and welcome, thanks for tuning in, it's nice to have you with us. For some odd reason, people like wash videos in which you just follow us when we wash cars. And this is the reason why in this video I will do exactly that. I will wash this very nice car here and I will combine that with a very short review and presentation of one single brand, and this is Stjarnagloss. Stjarnagloss sounds Scandinavian, but it is a brand coming from the UK, which is developed by another very famous rather large brand, which is why the products sound rather promising to me. So let's go ahead, you follow me when I wash this car with the Stjarnagloss products. As you saw, the pre-rinse stage is now finished. I think you could perfectly observe what I did with the pressure washer. Based on the strong pressure that some of those pump out, you can perfectly remove a lot of the dirt that is on your car, even something like tar spots. However, you need to be careful, and I think you clearly saw what I did. I did never hold the pressure washer at one single spot for several seconds. I always kept it in a fluid motion, and that's the secret to working with such a strong pressure washer, because as long as you keep it moving and as long as there is not too much force, too much pressure at one single spot, you will be mostly fine, except if you work with very delicate, very soft, very old paints, and especially if there is already paint failure on them. So now after this pre-rinse, I will apply the Stjarnagloss first to the whole car. This is a citrus pre-wash or pre-cleaner. You see that I already fairly used it in the last couple of weeks, and in my personal opinion, this is one of the best and strongest pre-cleaners I ever tried. For me personally, it even ranks higher than the very popular garage pre-wash citrus oil, which is known to be very good in terms of cleaning power, but I actually think this is quite significantly better. You also saw that this car has matte paint on it. I actually know quite a bit about caring for matte paint because it is what I started with in car care, and I did a lot of research and testing, and there are two simple rules when it comes to caring for matte paint, which is no abrasives, which means you should never polish them because then you will irreversibly damage the paint and induce gloss. And the second rule is don't use anything with fillers in it. So anything like a glaze and most waxes are not a good idea on matte paint because it will increase the amount of gloss that you can get, but this will not be irreversible because most of the times you can remove something like a glaze or like a wax rather easily. So as long as you follow those two rules, you will be safe with matte paint, which also means most chemicals which don't have fillers and don't have abrasives in them are safe. So pretty much any pre-wash, traffic film remover, snow foam, shampoo, iron fallout remover and tar remover is safe to use on matte paint. Wraps are a bit of a different story. You have to be a bit more careful there. And I would also recommend to always test the products you are using on an inconspicuous area first. For example, the lower parts on the back fender, because once you have induced a chemical etching on a matte paint, you cannot remove it. So it's always better to be safe than sorry when it comes for matte paint. But I will now use the Stjarnagloss first on this whole car. One huge plus of the Stjarnagloss first is its incredibly nice citrus or orangey smell. You also don't need much product if you have a decent spray trigger head, like for example the one by Car Pro, by Canyon or by Quasar, but even the standard one that it comes with works perfectly fine because the product is liquid enough in order to create a very fine mist. You can get it in this 1 liter bottle, but there's also a 5 liter bulk offering, and then it is very attractive in price too. It says here on the bottle to let it dwell for 2 to 5 minutes. And that's actually a tip from me. It's not that important for winter compared to summer, but never spray those products on hot panels because then you can get nasty stains from it. And this also accounts if you have driven the car to the place where you want to wash it and the hood, for example, is still warm or hot from the engine, then wait a few minutes before you spray this product. I will now let it dwell on this car for 5 minutes and then we rinse it off. So the Stjarnagloss first did its job at pre-cleaning the car. I will present its cleaning power to you in a separate video. I have a few ideas how I can show and prove it to you how good it is. I can tell you it removed quite a bit of the traffic film that is on this car, which means we can now go ahead and use the Stjarnagloss Snö. This is a bit of an unnecessary step because normally you use either a pre-wash or a snow foam. You can use both. It won't do any harm to your car, but as I said, it's a bit unnecessary. The Snö, as you can see here, it's written on the bottle, is a pH neutral snow foam or pre-wash. It is recommended to use at a 1 to 10 dilution ratio in a snow foam lens. I will use the MJJC one attached to a Catcher K2. I showed you in a separate video that the MJJC snow foam lens or similar ones that you can get from Amazon work with the K2 because not all snow foam lenses work with the comparably low amount of pressure that this one pumps out, but I will now foam the whole car with the Snö. One aspect I really like about the Stjarnagloss Snö is its incredibly long dwell time. Funnily enough, this is something that a lot of snow foams coming from the UK are capable of, but it just means the snow foam clings longer to your car and therefore has more time to do its job and therefore creates a greater cleaning power. Regarding its cleaning power and regarding its foaming ability, I would say it is at least as good as many other snow foams which are on the market today. Let's not forget, it is a pH neutral snow foam and it has another standout feature, and this is the scent. I had to think a long time in order to describe it to you, and the best thing I could come up with is the Smurf gummy bears. So the blue and white ones, and if you can remember from your childhood how they taste, then this taste is what the scent of this snow foam reminds me of. It is somewhere in the middle between gummy bear sweet and sea breeze fresh. It's bang on in the middle, and this is a very, very unique feature about the Stjarnagloss Snö and suits the Scandinavian theme.
told me I wasn't gonna get far. So I told him like this, look. My adversaries crumble when we rumble. It's a catastrophe on anybody who tryna hate, come and blast at me. I've been in this for a minute. See how I graduated from rookie to beginner, but now I'm winning on the road. Backing up and selling our shows, but let's rewind the tape a bit and let them all know who came to.
One aspect I don't like so much about the Stjarnagloss snow foam is, I think you saw it on the pictures, it is not that free rinsing as other snow foams are, which is especially tiresome if you use a pressure washer like the Karcher K2, which does not have that much pressure, but it's nothing that breaks the neck of this product. I still think it's a fantastic snow foam. It's just something I wanted and I had to tell you in order to give you a fair and balanced review of it. You will have realized by now that I did not use a dedicated wheel cleaner, even if Stjarnagloss has one in its lineup, which is called Huel. I hope I pronounced the name right. And the reason is rather simple. You don't always have to use dedicated wheel cleaner because they are comparably aggressive chemicals. No matter if you use acidic, alkaline, pH neutral ones with or without a color changing option, they just are rather aggressive. So they put a lot of stress on your wheels finishes, especially if you have delicate ones like high gloss black or polished or chrome ones, and they also put a lot of stress on your brake calipers and the brake discs. And this is exactly why I will now apply the Stjarnagloss snow foam once again, because I already sprayed the first and then the snow foam when I did the contactless wash. So I will now use the snow foam as a lubricative film in conjunction with this wheel brush. This is by Workstuff, but the one by Stjarnagloss looks and feels rather similar. And then I will use the Stjarnagloss first, so the pre-cleaner once again, in order to clean the tires with a stiff tire brush. So Jake, Adam and Mr. Wiesen, I'm very sorry that I will not use a dedicated tire cleaner, but the Stjarnagloss first works perfectly fine for the tires as well. As you can see by the brown sauce that is dripping out of there, two things. Even a comparably good pre-wash with a traffic film remover or citrus pre-wash and a snow foam can't completely remove everything that's on your wheels. And secondly, a wash with a gentle microfiber wheel brush and a snow foam also can be enough to properly clean your wheels. So nice result, and we will now continue with the tires. For the hand, main or contact wash, I will now use the Stjarnagloss Matter. This is a specific car shampoo for matte paint. Now, in my personal opinion, you don't necessarily have to use such a shampoo, because I personally don't think that any car shampoo in the world, even if it has gloss enhancers, waxes or sealing agents in it, can make a glossy car out of a matte car. But I would still recommend that you either go with a dedicated shampoo for matte paint or with just a pure shampoo without any additives in it. What I like very much about this shampoo is that Stjarnagloss is very precise with how much you have to use. They say 2 capfuls for a small bucket, 4 caps for a large bucket. This is what I have here. Plus 1 cap if you have hard water. I have that here. And plus 1 cap if you have a very dirty car. So I will now wash the whole car with this shampoo. Of course, proper 2-bucket wash method with a proper dirt trap or dirt guard here. So you wash it in the rinse bucket, then you pour out the water outside of the bucket, and then you grab yourself new shampoo.
They told me I wasn't gonna get far. So I told them like this, look. Who's back? Lean back, see how I ride. I gotta do my thing. Check 1, 2 on the mic. And when we go, you know there ain't no stopping us, right? Because we party every day just like it's 1999. Watch me lean back, see how I ride. I gotta do my thing. Check 1, 2 on the mic. And when we go, you know there ain't no stopping us, right? Because we party every day just like it's 1999. I put everybody that won any issues in a line. Step them up, I started out battle rapping, so I can just flip the script in a minute to these rhymes. See, that's the whole school but wanna be rappers, that's out of lines. Why?
A few additional tips when you wash your car. I recommend to always start with the upper panels, the roof, the hood, the deck lid of the trunk, then the sides, and then the lowest panels, because the lowest panels, which are nearest to the road, tend to be the dirtiest on your whole car. And by first washing the upper panels, you keep your chosen wash medium clean for the longest amount of time. In this respect, I also recommend to always use 2 different ones. And I personally always use one for the upper parts and the side panels, and then one additional one for the lowest sections. And I always make sure to use the same one for the low sections. I actually always buy them in different colors, so I always know which one is the one that I use on the lower panels on the car. Normally I do 3 to 5 passes with the wash mitt on the car, then I turn it around and do the same section or go to the next one, which means I usually do 1/2 of a panel, then I rinse the wash mitt, then I take up new shampoo, and then I do the other side of the respective panel. Never use excessive force and a lot of pressure, especially if you see single dirt spots on here. Most of the times we talk about tar spots. Never use a lot of pressure and then rub the mitt along the paint, because then you will definitely induce scratches. Also, always wash in slow and straight lines and never in swirls, never with a lot of speed. Always use just the weight of the mitt itself, place it on the panel, and then let it glide over the panels with just the weight of itself. And from time to time check that there is nothing in those mitts which could induce scratches. So visually inspect it, go through with your hands, because then you can make sure that you're actually safe with this. In contrast to the snow foam, the shampoo was actually very free rinsing, so it was very easy to rinse the residue off. It also foamed up very nicely. The foam was very dense. It was a comparably slick shampoo, not the slickest I have ever tried. However, this is a bit unfair, because matte paint based on its rough surface structure always feels a little bit different than glossy paint. And once again, it's incredibly fascinating what Stjarnagloss does with the scent and the design of their product, because matte once again is in the middle of fresh and sweet at the same time. But if you look at the shampoo and look at the color of it, and the same accounts for the snow foam, and I think it's a different scent with the shampoo and the snow foam, the scent matches the color, and I personally find that very refreshing, very fascinating if a brand goes as deep as that in making sure that the design and the scent of their products match. And so all in all, I have to say this could be amongst my favorite shampoos for matte paint. It's now time to dry the car, and I will use one of my personal favorite drying towels, which is the G Silk Dryer. Now, the G Silk Dryer is a microfiber drying towel with a so-called twisted pile microfiber structure. This is a rather modern microfiber structure, and it is considered at the best. It is considered as the latest shit on the market. However, I personally think this type of towel has a very specific context of use. The by far gentlest method to actually dry your car would be without touching it, meaning you would use something like a blower. However, those blowers are rather expensive expensive if you use dedicated ones for car care. And in my opinion, I also think that they work best on protected cars when there are only small droplets of water left after washing it. And these droplets can be blown away with a very low amount of force, because if your car is not protected and you have a lot of standing water on there, then it takes a lot of time and effort and power to actually dry a car with such a blower. When we talk about the towels themselves, then I think that the old style of microfiber towel with a plush fiber is still the gentlest way to dry your car if you rub the towel on your car's paint, because this type of fiber is softer. These twisted piles, they feel rather hard, they are not that soft, and if you rub them along your paint with a lot of force, they definitely can induce scratches and swirls on your car's paint while you're drying it. And that's why I personally always recommend that if your car is not protected, if you have a lot of standing water on there, then I'd recommend you go with a traditional plush microfiber towel, because they can absorb more water. They are softer to your car's paint, because you definitely will need to rub it along more because there's more water on there. If you have a protected car, then I think that those twisted pile towels like the Dual Tommy, which is very popular in the UK, work better if there are only droplets of water left, because they seem to be better at picking those single droplets up. And they especially work better if you just place the towel and tap it, or if you just place the towel and then drag it along. Things like dry blades, I personally think that they are safe if your wash method is good enough and if there's not any dirt left after you washed it, because the dry blades themselves, they are made of a jelly type of material, and those normally don't scratch up your paint. But what I will do now with this towel to follow my own tip is I will place it there, then tap it without moving the towel along, and then pick it up again, and as you see, it's dry, and this way I have a very low risk of actually induced scratches on there. By far one of my favorite products in the Stjarnagloss line is the gummy. Gummy is a trim and tire dressing, and what it makes so special is the finish that it creates. It creates a very pronounced darkening effect, but it stays on the matte or satin finish side of things. Plus, it's incredibly easy to use, and in my personal opinion, this is by a long shot a better and superior tire dressing than something like, for example, the Meguiar's Endurance tire gel. I intentionally left this tire out during the cleaning process because we now have this typical browning here, and we can see how well gummy is able to mask that. I think you perfectly see what I mean. Look at this refreshing effect. Incredible finish. On the matte or satin side of things, it's a very even finish. It's incredibly easy to spread, doesn't take a lot of product, and just an overall beautiful finish. Tip, never forget the insides there of the tires, because I think it's a shame when you only do the outside and then forget these there. But I think you now know what I mean when I say gummy is a fantastic tire dressing. Then we of course have a look how gummy performs on a cleaned tire. Now, of course, on a cleaned tire, the effect is not as strong, but we still see a clear difference between the treated and untreated part, because just cleaned is not dirty and brown anymore, but it does lack the refreshed effect of a nice tire dressing as gummy is, because we now have an evenly darkened, slightly satin sheen tire. Once again, gummy is a fantastic tire dressing. So it's now time for the finishing touches. Stjarnagloss actually has a product dedicated to matte paint, which is the Merc. This is a quick detailer, and I actually talked to Kev from Stjarnagloss, greetings to you, and he said this one does not leave any form of protection behind. So this is actually a rather rare product in today's market. It is a pure quick detailer, which is just there to clean your car's matte paint. So you could use this as a drying aid, but you could also use it after you washed it, spray it on the whole car, and then wash over it with the wash mitt again. Because whereas you can use things like a iron fallout remover or even a tar remover on matte paint, I would not actually recommend that you clay it, although you can get away with it if you are careful enough and use a clay bar which is as non-abrasive as possible. But as I said, in general, I don't recommend it, and you definitely cannot polish matte paint. So if you plan to add a form of protection afterwards, especially ceramic coatings, you need to use as many chemicals as possible in order to get the paint as clean as possible. And therefore, working with Merc in the prep work prior to applying a ceramic coating could actually be a good idea. However, what I will now apply to this car is Stjarnagloss Perla. This is a spray sealant. I already included that one in my big comparison of 20 different quick detailer spray waxes and spray sealants from the UK. It did extremely well there. It was one of the most durable products. But I have to tell you in advance, this one will not be as hydrophobic or as durable as, for example, the Sonex Brilliant Shine Detailer, the ADBL Synthetic Spray Wax, or the Tech Systems Shiny Wax. However, and in general, it will be easier to use than something like the Sonex Brilliant Shine Detailer, and it will definitely be a slicker product. I already did some testing with these two products earlier today. I will show you some pictures now. I taped off a rectangle on the hood of the car and applied the Merc and the Perla next to each other. And whereas the Merc really does leave a absolutely neutral finish and does not do anything to the matte paint of this car, the Perla definitely did enrich the color or darken the color. However, I think it did not add any kind of gloss to it, which is something you can observe with a lot of spray sealants or quick detailers, because they in general don't fill enough in order to create glossy paint out of matte paint. And I actually like how Perla did enrich the color of this matte paint. I still would recommend that you test it on your car's matte paint before you use such a product, and I in general would be a bit more careful if this car would be darker, for example matte black, and I also would be more careful if we talk about something like real flat matte dark paint and not something like a chrome matte, a frozen matte, or a satin finish such as this car has. But I will now apply the Stjarnagloss Perla on this car's paint for an experiment's sake. as you can see, even after the application of Perla on the whole car, it still is a matte or satin paint finish. Don't forget, this is a Mercedes OEM Magno iridium silver paint job, so it is a satin paint job from the factory. It's not a completely flat matte type of color. But interestingly, Perla did something which I am always looking for in products for matte paint, which is it created a glow, which means in the correct lighting and from the correct angle, the paint almost looks as it is glowing from inside, from itself, and this becomes especially obvious if it is parked at night under a light. I will show you some pictures in a minute to show you what I mean, but that for me is the reason I love matte paint jobs. It's this glow that they have in the right lighting. But most importantly, as you can see, Perla did not make a glossy paint out of this matte one. Instead, it enriched the color, darkened it slightly, and it now looks like a clean and cared-for car. Perfect. Now, to stay consistent with my own rules, of course, I did not tape off a section here and now, which means that I cannot claim that all of this finish is based on what Perla did. However, I think with the shots from the afternoon where I taped off the rectangle here on the hood, I was able to show and prove to you that Perla actually did something. But to be fair, what we see now could be a placebo effect based on the fact that the car now just is clean. So that just as a quick side note. Short conclusion to this video. I really like the products by Stjarnagloss. What I most like about this brand is the history and the story and the intention behind it. Cav, the man behind the brand, observed the detailing market for years, and what he found is that there are way too many brands and that those brands have way too many products. They have 7 different tire and trim dressings, they have 6 different snow foams, they have 16 different shampoos, they all do pretty much the same, or the manufacturer claims that they don't, and all of this is too complicated. So the main intention when he started Stjarnagloss was simplicity, and that's what I really like about it. There is one tire and trim dressing, there are only 2 shampoos, one for matte, one for glossy cars, there's 1 snow foam, there's 1 pre-cleaner, there's 1 spray sealant, there's 1 wax, and the wax actually is a rather special product because I think it is almost the perfect all-rounder and the modern version of the Dodo Juice Rainforest Rub, and all of this boils down to simplicity. There is no dedicated tire cleaner. I'm sorry, Speed 6 podcast guys, but Cav says the Stjarnagloss first works perfectly fine for it, and in my test on this car, I have to say, I have to agree with him, yes, it works as a tire cleaner. And this simplicity means that you get products from a brand that you know exactly what they are intended for. This simplifies the detailing process and makes it more enjoyable, especially because the Scandinavian theme of Stjarnagloss with the names, with the design, with the scents is so consistent across the whole range, which makes the use of all those products very enjoyable. I liked using them. I look very much forward to using some more in the future, and most importantly, and I think Cav will be very glad to hear this, I had fun detailing this car with those products. products. Is all of this unique to Stjarnagloss? No, there are other brands which focus on simplicity and a strong brand image, like for example Dunkin' Biscuit, like Dual, like Infinity Wax or Detailbug. However, even if Detailbug is similar in this aspect, is that Stjarnagloss offers all those products for very, very fair prices. By the way, and this is not a secret, the products are developed by Dodo Juice, which means that you get solid products from a company with a long history, a lot of experience, a solid reputation, which just adds more to the overall positive impression of the Stjarnagloss brand. I think what describes it best, what is so special about these Stjarnagloss products, is that a couple of days ago in the Detailing Central Facebook group, someone asked, what do people look for when they buy new products or brands? And my answer was that because I use and test so many different products, that I nowadays mainly look for something special. And I can't really put my finger on what makes Stjarnagloss special, if it is the design, if it is the Scandinavian touch, the scent, or if it is all based on the hilarious videos that the brand owner puts out on the Instagram page of Stjarnagloss, or that all the products just work and are easy to use. But I feel that Stjarnagloss is bringing something special, something unique to the market, and that cannot be said about many other brands. So all in all, I have to say thumbs up for these products and this brand. If you want to try it, I see no reason why you would be disappointed with them. And with that, I want to end this video. If you liked it, leave us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.